And we are live. So I'm going to try to close that because it's very distracting. Okay, so I'm Michelle Green with the Office of E-Learning, and I'm excited today to do what I'm actually just labeled my INA Learn Rock Stars of the Week, actually. Brand title, didn't even plan on this, but I'm excited to bring to you 3 educators from Liberty Perry Central, not Central. You guys don't have Central at the end, do you?
Right.
Sorry about that. That was just a roll. I don't know where it came from. But the hashtag you can see in our Hangout title, it's LP Selma, and they're a great group to be watching on Twitter, and that's how I learned what they were up to this week, because they were double hashtagging the INE Learn as part of their Digital Citizenship Week. And so I'm going to turn it over for a second so that they can tell us a little bit about Perry Liberty and their school and the population they've been working with.
I'm Amy Everhart, and I'm actually the district technology coach. And our school is located in Selma, Indiana, which that's where the Selma part comes in our hashtag. Which that's near Muncie, Ball State area, for those of you who aren't familiar. We have about 1,200 students in our district. So little information about us. We are 1-to-1 with iPads in grades 6 through 12.
Super. And ladies, would you introduce yourselves?
My name is Rebecca Ireland. I teach Spanish, and I'm one of the technology coaches at Wapahani High School. And I'm really concerned about this digital citizenship, not just because I work here with kids, but I went to Wapahani, so I like for this place to be great, and I have 2 children at our middle school. So I'm really proud of what we have done to teach the kids about digital citizenship this week.
Great.
And I'm Libby Ritchie, and I am a business teacher here at Wapahani High School, and I actually teach digital citizenship to our students. It is actually a graduation requirement for our students, and so we have a great opportunity to not just focus on this week, but to also focus on, year-round what students need to know about digital citizenship.
Great. So as we start to talk about digital citizenship, the first thing I'm going to ask, and for Amy, maybe this is more of a district level, but for our teachers, this could be more your school's perspective. How does your school or district define digital citizenship?
We look at it as how our students are using their technology and being appropriate out there in that world when they're using that technology.
Appropriate is definitely a common word that we hear when we talk about that. Yes, Libby?
I would say appropriate and responsible behavior online. I always tell the kids, you've got to be careful. Think about, a lot of times kids don't think about tomorrow or a year or 10 years down the road, but think about when their kids are Googling them. What are they going to find? And so just trying to get them in that mindset of thinking of, is it really deleted? Can they really get rid of it? Is it something embarrassing? So just down the road for employers, scholarships, college, and that kind of thing, what are they doing online? Please think about what you post before you post it.
I like that. It's about decision making, and you bring in that very adjective, responsibility, and being responsible. I want to say Professor Nora, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. No, I don't know what I can add. Libby was perfect there. We just talked a lot about how you control yourself. And just because you see what your friends do or your friends encourage you, that was probably the biggest thing that came up with us this week. Well, so-and-so did it. And that to teach the kids that they are responsible for themselves and that they control their own decisions, and everything that goes online is a concerted decision.
Excellent. So when you guys, I know that you have spent time planning this week's events way before this week approached. So what are some of the things, or what are some ways that you see your school or your district being responsible for teaching students about digital citizenship? And not maybe just the students, even yourselves, your colleagues, and potentially the students' parents. What role do you see the school or district having in that?
Since we're the ones that are providing the device to the students, that's been a big focus with us, and making sure that they're responsible. I mean, obviously we're doing filtering and things like that with them, but obviously that doesn't control everything that goes along with being a good digital citizen. We're trying to model ways that you can use it appropriately. Our teachers were involved with another district last week, or the week before fall break, using Twitter professionally. So we want them to show them the benefits of using them, but make sure they're using it appropriately. So we've done things with the staff level. I know that we're doing things with the students right now during this week. Our middle school, each part of their activity has also had a parent involvement piece, whether there was one day they had to go home and talk to their parents and ask them questions about their feelings about technology and then come back and share. There's days they've just sent tips home to the parents, things like that, but each day they've had to do something with their parent involvement as well. So I'll let the others share more about the high school since they're active in it.
We had three really great lessons. One was on oversharing online, and not from the standpoint where you post a selfie every 10 minutes, but that you don't have to document every second of your life, appropriate or inappropriate. Either way, that you don't have to do that online. And it was very interesting. 100% of my group raised their hand. I said, how many of you have seen something that was posted or sent to somebody that was supposed to be private, but you saw it? And 100% of them had. Whether it was a picture or a video or a private text message, they all raised their hand that they had seen things they shouldn't have. And so we're kind of working on just that, like I said, that good decision making. We also did a lesson on online cruelty. And then today we got some facts, and the kids took a quiz over all of the just general things about digital citizenship. And it was interesting that the statistics were kind of staggering. I think when the kids saw the answers, they were flabbergasted at how many kids are doing things they shouldn't. Even parents, one of the questions was how many of you have been in a car where a parent was texting, and I think it was 85% was the answer or something. It's great for the kids to see that and then figure out what they can do maybe to make that statistic not be so high.
And then,
I'm so sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. What I was going to say too, and then with my class, we do things I always want my kids to help educate the other students in the school, and then even community members and even parents. And so one thing we're doing right now, we're talking about digital footprints and how do you track it. I've had the kids track their own footprint, and they've been a little bit concerned about things that they find, but it's been fun to watch. But then, like in iMovie this week with our iPads, we did like a PSA. I had them do a little ad, and then we were going to put them online, and then I'm going to have students around the school go online and vote for their favorite ad that tells them exactly what to watch for, what's dangerous, what's good, and those types of things. So in order to vote, the kids in the school are going to have to watch several different ads about what it is, and hopefully it will drill in their mind. Parents can vote as well. So we're trying to do different things like that just to incorporate as many people as we can. One of the comments I got today from a student was we were talking about student or how many parents talk to their kids, and one of my students who's a senior said, I kind of feel like it should be the other way around, and I feel that students need to talk to their parents because my parents aren't very smart when it comes to online. And then he started sharing with things that his parents do, and I thought that was a very important statement that he made that made me realize maybe we need to make sure that we're educating our parents a little bit more, because we're drilling into our students' head, but do our parents really understand the dangers, when they're online? So I thought that was a very important thing that one of my students said today.
Very insightful, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to go back just a little bit. I like what, well, let me go back and stick with Libby for a second. First of all, I don't know if any of you saw that we did launch a Who's Your Student Digital Leaders this week. And that is for schools that have like a student tech team, whether that's a team or a class. It's a lot of different possibilities, but the idea is that the advisors can do networking. So in the same way that you guys got together and collaborated and planned the Digital Citizenship Week, you could have a statewide network of advisors to kind of think about some things you want to do with your group of kids, whether it be formal or informal. And we'll have different activities throughout the year. One of them that I'm super excited about, and I think, Libby, you can probably understand my enthusiasm because you just did something very similar to this in a really cool scale. We're going to have a digital media festival. And so this year's theme happens to be cyberbullying. That goes back to the fact that we've, as a state, have some fairly new legislation around bullying. With this being Digital Citizenship Week and the week that we launched HSLDL, I thought it all seemed very fitting that we use cyberbullying as our first topic. So I can't wait to see students from across the state submit their advisors submit their perspective in a 1 to 2 minute presentation, if you would, with a piece of digital media around that idea. And I love what you said. Seeing the message being shared in various ways just gives you more depth of understanding and more conversation launches, if you would. I love that you can have different springboards to have these conversations. And that kind of goes back to what you were sharing, Rebecca. The springboard piece is just so critical. I think we have assumptions about so many things when it comes to our digital lives. And it just so happened I was perusing some resources today, and I came across an Ellen DeGeneres episode. And I didn't pin it to our Digital Responsibilities Board because I really didn't think it was school appropriate. However, I tweeted account and tagged it INE because I wanted people to see it, because it's a great, you need to frame it with students if you choose to use it. But it's a great example of how often we think what we're sharing is private, that when we're really not being aware or even concerned about our settings, Ellen DeGeneres could have you on her floor and you're in her audience as a guest, and just not even a scheduled guest, but just get the free ticket and pull up your Facebook and find some very concerning pictures. And it was just so eye-opening, and it goes right back to what you were saying. 100% of your kids are saying, yeah, I saw something I probably wasn't really the intended audience for. And that's a critical conversation. I love what you said too, Libby. My 13-year-old, I have to get permission before I can share anything about her these days. As a parent, I had to learn to start asking, may I take a picture of you today? It's nerdy day at their school dress up. We were talking about school dress up days earlier. Their day is the nerd day, and so of course she put on her Google shirt, which and I wanted a picture to show people how my family just don't appreciate my geekiness, and she said no. Okay. And I think that those are things that parents, that's a silly kind of easy example, but there are lots of things that as adults, not just parents, but adults, and you mentioned community living. I think it's great. It's much more than just the families, right? It's community-wide that we need to have these kinds of conversations.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, one of our students also told me yesterday that he interviewed for a job at a local fast food restaurant, and one of the interview questions was, pull up your social media and we want to see what you have posted. And so he pulled up his social media, and they were looking for different references, jargon that was inappropriate, and just for a part-time high school job, he had to pull up his social media. And fortunately, he passed and everything was good, but that kind of scared some of the other students in the class of, I can't believe that they're doing this just for a part-time job. So I learned from the students as well how often social media is being used even just to get a part-time high school job.
We had a question today that was, how many of you use the privacy settings on your social media? And I asked my class, and one of the kids said, well, I use it so I can block my parents. And another kid said, well, I can't even have Twitter if I don't let my parents follow me. And I thought that was an interesting dichotomy. I'm more with that second kid that, if you don't let mom follow you, you can't have it either. But a lot of the kids were like, yeah, so I can block grandma, or so I can block my dad. And I just thought that was an interesting thing, that's who they felt needed to not see their information. It was just interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. I think that is a common issue that comes up. I know I saw it last night on a Twitter digital citizenship chat where they talked about students will have two personalities, and there were students in the conversation, and they said, yeah, sometimes it gets kind of hard. I mean, I know it's hard. I'm INE Learn, and I'm MRG3, right? And sometimes I forget, now wait a minute, which voice? Like today, I had to make a call. Which voice is appropriate for this? It's a great resource, but not necessarily in both places. Those are skills we have to learn how to navigate. But I think you bring up a really great question. Why would we want to block the people in our lives who care most about us, who are there to protect us, right? And I think that's partly teen years, I'm guessing. But the autonomy is important. And I think digital citizenship, another piece of that is the empowerment. How do you see, with the things that you're doing with your students this week, how do you see them being empowered with this new knowledge?
I see them holding each other accountable better. They're better equipped to see things online like, hey, I cannot believe you said that last night about so-and-so. I think that they are more apt to do that now.
When
Hold
I,
their No,
when
go.
I, sorry, go ahead, Rebecca.
No, I'm done. I'm all good.
When I've been in classrooms, and I'm kind of asking those questions, do you know this stuff? They're like, yeah, these are things obviously, we've heard about, but you forget. You get back into your old habits of everybody's doing it and actually making sure they're really self-monitoring themselves.
Okay. So, Libby, you work in a computer classroom, a lab, if you would, but you work with students with technology. Do you think they can hear these messages too much? I mean, do they? Because I think what Amy said was important. They've heard it before, and yet here we're spending a week committed to it. And we're going to talk in a minute about how this really can't stop with a week. And I know you ladies all agree with that. But do you think they can hear this too much, Libby?
No, not at all. And in fact, we in my class we cover the 9 different elements. So there's a lot of different parts to digital citizenship, not just focusing on just cyberbullying or the footprint. There's a lot of different pieces to it. But I think that they are very engaged because this is what they do. One of my kids today, we talked about on average, how many text messages do teens send out a day, and the answer was 300. And I had several kids say, "Oh, I send at least 500." And I don't know how they have time, but they do. And so
this okay, so.
Yes, this never leaves their hands, and so I think this is something that is so important to them because it is their social world, and I think that they enjoy talking about it no matter what aspect it is, because this is something that they truly care about. But it's something that can be very positive, but it can also be very negative if they're not using it correctly. So we've had great discussions. I've been teaching this class. This is my 2nd year, and I've not seen anybody say that they're getting sick of it. They really enjoy talking about all the different aspects of it.
Excellent. What advice would you guys give? I know a lot of teachers think, and justly so, we have a lot on our plate. How can an everyday, ordinary content area teacher be integrating some of these ideas into what they're doing? I know this isn't a question that we talked about in advance, so don't worry about some think time.
We are very fortunate in our district. 6 through 12, we have time set in each building where the whole school has we call them academic labs, homerooms, but the whole school is not in an academic class at that point. So we can use that time to do what we need to do as a district. So that's where we've been able to incorporate these lessons. This is when clubs meet and other things like that. But it's nice for, these settings because it's teachers they don't see for a content area that they get to have some discussion with. Get to know the teachers get to know them. But I do think it's been nice, that it has been this week, because if they did something every single day over that, it's just, another lesson, kind of thing like they do in their classroom, versus they're able to sprinkle in one day they do their club and the other day they get this lesson and those type of things as well.
But that club time that academic lab time has been great because the students were divided completely randomly. So there are kids that truly don't know one another, and we've had a lot of chances to get to know each other, do some activities to build community in that room, where as the year has gone on and we've done some discussions, they feel so much more free to share with each other than maybe if they were just in a different class every period. They see these same kids, and they really have been able to build a community. So it's been a really great thing.
I love that because you know what, that's what it all comes down to, right? Relationships and community. Mm-hmm. That's why we're just having these discussions. So I love that. And I know that you guys all have to get back to class very soon. So before we start to wrap up, I wanted to ask, how do you think your students would describe themselves now as digital citizens after having this, intense week of conversations?
I think our kids would say that they're very well educated with it. I think they feel very confident with it, just like my student saying that he needs to teach his parents a few things. Obviously, I don't think nobody knows everything, but I do think that good about what it is. And I think that has helped because can go through and sprinkle that in the lesson.
And we're working on actually developing some end of the week videos, interviewing the kids, and again, getting their perspective. We can tweet about it all the time, but again, it's peer to peer. They're going to hear it more from each other, which is why these class discussions, we're not just dispersing this and teaching. It's not teacher driven, it's student driven, and we're working on creating videos of asking kids, like, what did you learn this week? What was a reminder? Did you enjoy it? And actually a follow-up lesson. I talked to the high school principal today about taking some of those questions that they were asked today, but doing our own survey to be able to compare our results with the national results. Again, making it about them, giving them that connection piece. So we do have plans, to continue this and make sure they're still doing it, but again, to connect it to them, to make it relevant, because like I said, if they have to be connected to buy into it, to believe it, to act it, to do it in their daily lives.
Sounds really powerful. Rebecca, do you want to ask about this?
My sound is going in. Anybody else?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let Libby talk for me.
I'm having trouble too.
Well, how about this? Thank you so much for giving us some time with me to share what you did last week. I can't wait to hear some questions, and I'll continue to watch on the hashtag for. Thank you for being
Yay!
Bye, ladies.
Bye.